Hi everybody, it's Chris Paton here, a genealogist based in the west of Scotland. Just to let you know that my new book, Researching Ancestral Crisis in Ireland, has now been published, or at least published in the UK. It will be published in the United States in May. And this is, crikey, my 23rd book to do with genealogy. But I think it's my third or fourth to do with Ireland through pen and sword. And so, what is this book about? Well, basically, in the past, whenever our ancestors lived their lives, they had lives very similar to our own. We all had days when everything went well, and we had days when all sorts of things didn't go well, and there were various crises that we had to endure in our lifetimes. Well, it was no different in the past. And what I've done in this particular book is to describe some of the situations where our ancestors may have been in trouble, they may have been victims of something, they may have been the perpetrators of something. But whenever those situations happened, there was always somebody standing nearby with a pen and a bit of paper or a quill and a bit of parchment or whatever, to document in some way what had happened. So this basically tries to tell you about some of those incidents, and there are 5 chapters within the book. And the first chapter is just a very basic introduction to family history records for Ireland, which will save you having to buy some of my other books. But basically, the other chapters go into all sorts of situations. So, for example, the second chapter is family events and relationships, and that covers everything from issues to do with birth, such as illegitimacy, mother and baby homes, foundlings, orphans, adoptions, child migrants, all that kind of stuff. To do with marriages, there's separation, divorce, how did that happen in the past? Bigamy, even homosexuality. You know, some of us will have had ancestors who were gay. It wasn't the done thing to say you were gay in the past, but some people did get married, and even though they were gay. And so how do we find out, if we can, about some of those situations? And also issues to do with death, not least of which is the issue of suicide. How was that treated in the past? The third chapter looks at law and order and covers all sorts of things from the Brehon laws, the old Irish laws, which disappeared in the early 17th century, the imposition of English law in Ireland and the various situations where people had to go to the courts and the different types of courts that existed in the past, not least the church courts as well, which were separate to the state courts. Police and prison records, transportations, executions, all that kind of stuff is dealt with there. Then the fourth chapter looks at poverty and health, so everything from the poor law systems that existed in Ireland to the roles of hospitals and the public health systems, the asylums, all that kind of stuff. And then the final chapter, them and us, basically the situations where our ancestors were caught up in conflicts with the state, or the state having conflicts with our ancestors. And that covers all sorts of things from the plantations of Ulster to the 1641 rebellion, the famine, the land war, the Home Rule crisis, obviously the Decade of Centenaries, all that kind of stuff, the Civil War. And a lot of stuff within there. So the book is just over 160 pages in length. It covers the whole of Ireland, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and when it was just one Ireland, island of Ireland. And it costs £15.99 and is available from Pen and Sword Family History. So I hope this helps with your research. I hope with my other books, in conjunction with those, it can add a bit more to your sort of findings and things that you're looking for. There are some situations where records have sadly not survived, but even in those situations, I still describe what the legal circumstances were around those situations, just in case something turns up, and to aid your understanding of the various crisis situations that may have existed within the past. But of course, there are a lot of records that have survived as well. The glass is always half full with Ireland, rather than half empty. That's what I tell all my students all the time. So I hope this book helps with your research. £15.99, Researching Ancestral Crisis in Ireland, by yours truly, Chris Paton. Thanks very much indeed. Ooh, there it is.